Hello everyone, welcome back to a brand new video on Lex Alexas. Welcome back to Transfer Tuesday for our second episode of the Championship Transfer Show. We are going to cover the latest Championship deals that have happened in the past week since the last transfer show, and I'm going to uncover the latest news, speculation and rumours of more potential ingoings and developments of all Championship clubs for the 25-26 season. I'll be very interested to hear your thoughts about how your club is moving within preparations to the upcoming season. In a couple of days time, we're also going to know the opening fixtures, which I think I'll do a separate video reacting to those as well. If you guys like what you see, please smash the like button. It really does help the growth of this channel. 30 likes will be absolutely appreciated. If you can hit the subscribe button too, it really does help the growth of this channel as we're trying to get to 3,000 subscribers. We're not too far away now. It will be absolutely amazing if you could show your support again. It really is free to do and it really helps. Here are another couple of subscribers who have subscribed to the channel, which I will shout out right now to show my appreciation for anyone that does hit the subscribe button. Shout outs go to Rawson Touring, Gavin Oldham, C Winner, Cyril, Emily Plays, Epic Trailers, Romani Chan, Robert, Bravo Shizzy, Stevie Vaughan, Michael Morgan, Prince Charming Channel, Matt Davey, James Rogers, and Sabine Cantor Life Memory. Thank you so much for showing your support. It really does not go unnoticed. And if you guys can also share the channel, it really helps too. But without any further ado, let's get into this transfer show. I guess the only place to start is to talk about the managerial developments since the last video. So of course, I spoke about Chris Wilder and Ruben Selles, and lo and behold, literally hours after I released my video, Wilder got dismissed and Selles was announced literally within minutes of each other. My genuine reaction, it felt a bit harsh actually looking at it, and the fact that they have done it now, massive risk from Sheffield United. They clearly did not see another season of Wilder being worthwhile. Maybe there were some disagreements of some transfer strategies. But Ruben Selles, I say, is an exciting manager, but I wouldn't say he's one that's necessarily proven to reach the expectations of as high of a standard as Sheffield United. He's done well to punch above his weight, really, if that makes sense. So now he's got the expectation with his club. That's going to be an entirely different challenge for him. So I will be interested to see how he gets on with that. Sheffield United fans and Championship fans as a whole, let me know what you found of that reaction in the comments. This Bristol City managerial rumour turned out to be true in the end. Gerard Struber has now returned to the Championship and is managing Bristol City. I'm pleased to see Struber return. He was a very interesting character when we covered him 5 years ago now in the 1920 season. Did a major miracle getting Barnsley to survive in that season. I knew they were helped with the administration problems with Wigan Athletic, but regardless, you could not deny the quality of football for Barnsley was, I would dare say, close to an all-time high at that time, and he really got another club to punch above their weight. And I do think Struber's style of football, I think, will favour for what Bristol City are going for. So I see this being a really positive move, and I hope for his sake that he can have another good stint in the Championship. We didn't see him a lot at Barnsley, and he did get dismissed, I think, pretty, strangely in the way that it did. So hopefully we'll see a lot more of him for this season for Bristol City. Now to the latest transfer deals since my last video. So Blackburn have completed the signing of Sidney Tavares. He had been heavily rumoured. I didn't cover him in the video, but he was rumoured to join Blackburn from Portugal. Molinense, I think, was his club in the end, for a fee of roughly €2 million has been reported. Central midfielder, I think a decent move. I think if you're going into the millions, I think you are expected to bring something to the club. And I certainly think Tavares is a player that I'm excited to learn a little bit more about. We're speaking about Bristol City. They've also had some major transfer developments. Now, into some positive news, they signed another player, Adam Randell, from Plymouth Argyle, defensive midfielder. You probably would associating with for an undisclosed fee. But a major bit of news that uncovered hours before I was recording, Rob Atkinson has confirmed that he will be staying on with Bristol City. He has penned a new deal. That's major because he was heavily linked to join Portsmouth. So it was a major blow for Portsmouth. More it is going to benefit, I think, for Bristol City. But, I mean, I shouldn't downplay that. Rob Atkinson, I think, is one of their better defenders. So it's good news for Bristol City, but majorly bad news for Portsmouth, who were heavily linked and were trying to get him in. And in terms of an outgoing for Bristol City, Nahki Wells, who has spent over 5 years at the club, is officially going to depart. He won't get his contract renewed. Where do you see Nahki Wells going? I've not seen too many reports about where Nahki Wells could be going. So let me know where you think he might be going in this next career path in the comments. Coventry have actually completed a signing, their first transfer of this window. Miguel Angel Brau from Granada. He is a left back and he's been signed on a free transfer. It's definitely a move that I wasn't, too blown away seeing, but I'm glad for Coventry that they're getting more options in their back line. I think that is an area that they had been a little bit weaker compared to their other areas from last season. So it's glad to see Coventry now starting to make decisions based on transfers. It can show that now Coventry are now thinking ahead in terms of the squad building for the upcoming season. Another club with outgoings only so far is Millwall. So they lost George Saville to Luton Town. One that did happen, but I actually forgot to mention in my last video, he has left Mill to join Luton Town for a free. So Luton picking some decent Championship experienced players, and Murray Wallace. And what this means, this is the first season where we're not going to have a single Wallace in that Millwall squad. I like to say in about 10 seasons, correct me if I'm wrong on that, maybe not quite 10 seasons, but Jed Wallace obviously is still West Brom player, and Murray Wallace is now going the league below to join Huddersfield Town for a free transfer. It's another impressive bit of business for Huddersfield, where they are clearly stating the intent that they want to have a really, really good crack at getting promotion from League One this season. Norwich, they completed the goalkeeping signing of Louis Moulden from the Palace youth team. I think that will be an okay signing. I don't see him playing a lot of games, but I think he'll certainly be a good backup option, or at least a good prospect of a backup option, just in case that they do get light in the goalkeeping department there. Portsmouth have made their first definitive signing. Adrian Segejic. I've not said that name well at all. Segejic, I think is how you say it. But he's a right winger, 21 years of age, from Sydney FC. You know what, when we gain these players from these other leagues, which I don't think would have spent too much time watching, it always excites me just to see how they're going to thrive and perform at this level. So hopefully Segejic does, prove to be a really exciting player. I think Portsmouth, for the way that they like to play, they do operate quite a wide style of play in terms of the way that they use their wingers to attack. So Segejic would be given a pretty important role if he is being tasked to play quite frequently down the wing. Certainly, one of the transfers that caught my eye in the past couple of days is Preston managing to get Daniel Jebison on a loan deal from Bournemouth. Preston are making some very interesting signings, and I'm actually liking the decisions they're making. Jebison has been a player which I've just been waiting for an absolutely incredible season from him. He's always had glimpses of promising form, and then just something gets in the way, whether he would have one or two bad games and then he just doesn't get featured, or if there's an injury. There just seems to be something getting in the way of Jebison being a consistent threat. But I certainly think with a little bit of involvement he had with Bournemouth recently, I think could give him a really good amount of backup and confidence to actually really try and be the main striker or forward in that case for Preston. Because if I'm right in saying, if I remember looking at retainers, I think Emil Rees is actually leaving Preston. So Jebison, I think, could be seen as a decent replacement. I think just with him, he needs to be given this service. He needs the support. I think if you put it all on him by himself, I think he will particularly struggle with that. But if you slowly integrate him in and he gets his confidence up, I think he could be pretty unplayable. So Preston have got a really exciting one on their hands here. So in terms of Sheffield Wednesday's point of view, there's not many news, but they do feature a little bit in my rumours section coming up. An outgoing which I didn't talk about last video is Michael Igweke. He has joined Blackpool, the league below, on a free transfer. So again, not particularly surprising that we haven't seen, Sheffield Wednesday raise too many funds at this moment. I will give you my reaction to their embargo when I talk about their section in the rumours. Watford, they managed to get an outgoing. Sirialta has officially left Watford to join AJ Auxerre, who I believe are in the first tier of French football. I think in a fee of just under €2 million. Certainly a player who has featured for Watford quite a fair few seasons now, and I think it was one of those ones that maybe he just saw a bit of an opportunity to raise a bit of money for the club for their benefit, and if they can back themselves and get another strong defensive option in, then maybe that transfer could be seen as a really positive thing for both parties. A West Brom transfer that happened very, very recently is Nathaniel Phillips. How do you react to this one, guys? Let me know in the comments down below how you've reacted to Nat Phillips joining West Brom from Liverpool. So I think it's an undisclosed fee, if I do remember right as well. I actually quite like this signing. I really, really do. I haven't really spoken a lot about the way that they're playing for this season, but it is Ryan Mason who's their manager. And Nat Phillips, this is not the first time he's played in a Championship club, Derby County. You remember he played quite recently there as well. And I think each time he has played in the Championship for the most part, has been a brilliant defender in that league. So I do think West Brom have got a solid player with lots of experience at this level. So, like the transfer from West Brom, I just wanted to see, a little bit more from them. Because I do think they've got an interesting conundrum with Ryan Mason, who hasn't officially managed a club at this level and hasn't really taken a coaching stint that's not been an interim position. So this is a massive step up for Ryan Mason, and I think this signing does suggest to me that West Brom do want to be at least a very competitive side next season. So I'm excited to see how they get on. Final bit of movement of transfers is regarding Wrexham. So you probably would have heard by now, Paul Mullin, Super Paul Mullin, obviously the National League hero, and was the hero in League 2 as well. League 1, he definitely did not feature as much, but he did get some goals along the way. He has now returned to League 1 and is now being the striker for Wigan on a loan deal. I gotta say, what a coup for Wigan Athletic. Certainly with a club like Wigan, who has been sort of plateauing in the bottom half of League 1 and struggling to hit the heights that they've had since they've had their new ownership come in. I think this is going to be a very exciting move for Wigan, and I'll be interested to see how he gets on. For Wrexham's point of view, I think certainly prioritising enough options and depth in their striker positions becomes a priority. So these are all of the latest transfers in the Championship. If I've missed anyone out, let me know in the comments. But now let's dedicate a small bit of our time talking about the latest Championship news and rumours. Let's go and do a segment on managers first. Queen's Park Rangers, I think we're pretty much going to agree they're looking for a new manager. I mean, they've got, of course, Cifuentes on gardening leave at the moment, so they're still currently paying under him on the payroll, but he cannot officially join anywhere else whilst he's still on that leave. I think, for QPR's point of view, the manager that looks like who will be succeeding that role is Julian Stéphan, who has had lots of experience in the French league. So he's managed Rennes and Strasbourg. So Strasbourg, he did a decent job with them. I believe he got them to the top 6 one season. With Rennes, he had a spell where he managed to get a decent campaign in Europa League. I'd like to think he beat Arsenal in one of the legs in that game there as well. So I think he's had pretty decent moments there. But one thing that did stand out, Julian Stéphan is constantly a mover when it comes to his managerial stints, it's very rare he survives a full season, which does stick out to me a bit like a sore thumb, like with other managers that QPR have been linked with. But I think we've got to say, with the amount of managers moving constantly in the Championship these days, you might feel right at home at this league. The managerial turnover in the Championship is almost at an all-time high at the moment. So I think Stefan will be an interesting one, and one I would like to see, a little bit more up close and personal to see how his system can work in English football. So I'm excited by that rumour there. More managerial rumours. I think certainly we're going to talk about Sheffield Wednesday in a separate section in a minute with Danny Rowe's future. But with Leicester City, now, I did not think about why they didn't want to get rid of Van Nistelrooy straight away. I'm an absolute moron that I didn't even think of this. So clearly Leicester are skating very thin on PSR. So if they were to dismiss Van Nistelrooy within this football financial year, I think there is a major risk that they do breach PSR. So I think Leicester are waiting to the next footballing year, which I believe for them will be the 1st of July. And then they could get, and raise the, the money or pay whatever they need to get Van Nistelrooy out of his contract. Because then that will then equate and relate to this upcoming football financial year. And then they need to be thinking about recruiting for someone new. Now, if Leicester are smart, they would have got an ideal replacement in mind and can announce them almost straight away from departing Van Nistelrooy. A little bit like what Sheffield United did with the quick turnaround of announcing Wilder's dismissal and Sellers' ingoing. Sean Dyche is the manager that's linked at this moment of time. Leicester fans, let me know of your reaction to that in the comments down below. Of course, they were linked to Russell Martin. That didn't go out. I think PSR did prevent making the official move happen. Rangers snapped him up. So Sean Dyche and Russell Martin couldn't be any more different if they tried. What is the strategy of getting Dyche in? Let me know what you think of their current thoughts in the comments down below. Middlesbrough is another one looking for a new manager as well. Knowing my luck, they may announce someone new by this time this video comes out, because they have been looking for a manager for quite a couple of days now. Rob Edwards, Gary O'Neill and Steve Cooper are the top 3 picks that I've been hearing so far. I certainly think Rob Edwards is going to be the closest one that can not necessarily replicate, but can have an imitation of what Michael Carrick did. Gary O'Neill, I think, will be an interesting one. A good redemption story for him for being dismissed at Wolves. And then Steve Cooper, I certainly think, is one of the more reliable Championship managers in recent history. So I think all 3 have their pros and cons. I couldn't really pick which one I think would suit with Middlesbrough. So let me know who you think could suit Middlesbrough the best in the comments. So let's do a little section on Sheffield Wednesday now, because I did say that I was going to give my reaction to what's been going on with them. I mean, it really is a bit of a nightmare for Sheffield Wednesday at this moment of time. So the confirmed breach, which was confirmed moments after I uploaded, was a 3-window transfer embargo. It means that they cannot spend or receive money from players up to 3 windows. So if you bear in mind that this window is going to be July 2025, they cannot actually receive any money or spend money on players all the way up to January 2027. 2027! It's absolutely insane. It's brutal, an absolutely brutal punishment from the EFL. And Sheffield Wednesday are going to have to rely on either loan deals or free agents. For loan deals, they're going to really struggle to retain those players, because then that's going to cost a fee, isn't it? So a nightmare in terms of their squad development point of view. But we must also talk about the future of Danny Rowe. Certainly at this moment of time, he's going to be linked with clubs. He could very well be linked for someone like a Middlesbrough, for instance, with them looking for a new manager at this moment of time. So it's going to be a very, very interesting one. But I think for a little bit of more positive news for Sheffield Wednesday, certainly with the extent of Dejan Shaqiri looking to try and offload the club, you are going to get some interest from owners who can certainly show some passion to try and get Sheffield Wednesday out of the pickle they find themselves. Now, based on the takeover concerns from Sheffield Wednesday's point of view, for what I've heard, Shansiri has rejected 2 Florida-based consortiums already, based on the fact that what they are offering is not going to repay the amount of money that Shansiri spent at the start of his ownership with Sheffield Wednesday. If you remember, when he did join Sheffield Wednesday in around 2016, he was really splashing the cash, trying to get Sheffield Wednesday to the Premier League, and came very, very close, of course, didn't he? And then lost the playoff final, and then the semi-final of the following year, and naturally the funds dried up, and then suddenly they've now gone to this stage where they really are slowly approaching a dire straits position if no action is amended. But a very interesting bit of news that I received literally hours ago was John Textor has now officially sold his Crystal Palace shares. Good news for Palace. It increases their chances of UEFA maybe allowing them access to the Europa League in the upcoming season. But John Textor, for what we know, wants to get an immediate reinvestment to another English football club, and will look to potentially look down to the Championship. If he helps a club that really, really needs it, Sheffield Wednesday is the game changer, and he will blow a lot of the interested parties financially out of the water, because as you know, he has a share in Botafogo, who are doing quite well in the Club World Cup, and also being involved with Olympique Lyon as well, who are French giants in Ligue A. So quite honestly, if John Textor does look to have an interest of purchasing Sheffield Wednesday, I just hope it is enough that it will convince Shansiri to eventually relinquish that control. He's not been satisfied with any of the deals so far that they are not able to cover, and he won't be able to get enough money back from what he lost in the first couple of seasons. But I think common sense has got to be put in here. This is not necessarily the most attractive club to run at this moment of time, but Sheffield Wednesday is one of the most attractive clubs by name, a rich history, and hopefully with that point of view, it might help something majorly positive in terms of an investment for Sheffield Wednesday. But I think things are really going to be needed ASAP. I mean, players have still not been played from previous month. In the next month, if they're not paid, they have the option to walk out of their contracts. I mean, week to go, guys. You really got to try and get some sort of solution. It could be an absolute mass exodus here. So, of course, they're not going to listen to me, but I'm trying to drive the urgency to understand to you guys how serious it can be if action's not been done now. And I know this sort of decisions and stuff takes time, but at least if a stepping stone is made with a registered interest or a bid being put in, it will make things so much more reassuring. And if anything, the players may be a bit more likely being able to see a little bit of hope in terms of Sheffield Wednesday moving in a positive way. I just keep my fingers and everything crossed for Sheffield Wednesday that they can find a solution in the situation they find themselves. Now let's go to the player rumours. I've got a couple that I found. Kwame Poku, I am a big fan of him, for Peterborough last season. He's been linked with Birmingham City. Will be a major loss to Peterborough, but I think for Birmingham will be a very decent player, and certainly someone that Birmingham respect dearly after playing against him from Peterborough in the league last season as well. And he's someone I definitely want to see in Championship level. I'm not surprised he's been linked with a Championship club. He was certainly one of the League One players of the season last year. Michael Keane, can we see him come to Wrexham? So, for context, Michael Keane's contract will run out at Everton at the end of the month, and it does look like he's not going to get renewed. Wrexham are immediately showing an interest to try and get him in. It would be a statement defensive signing, but I don't actually think it would be the best Championship signing. He's not one of the youngest players anymore, but what he will have, Michael Keane, is an abundant amount of experience at the highest level, and I think that will be a very important dressing room figure to get those Wrexham boys drilled on for what could be a pretty tough Championship season. So it's a move that excites me. Certainly will be a positive improvement to their defence, which I do think they do need some transfer reinforcements for. Owen Beck has also been linked to a move to Wrexham as well. A left back, a young, promising left back from Liverpool. So obviously Liverpool have recently been in the news for potentially getting the Hungarian left back Kirkes from Bournemouth for a fee of around 40 million. It could allow Owen Beck the freedom to maybe jump to another club where he will feature more frequently for first team football. And Wrexham are a club who are looking to try and get involved in signing him there. I mean, the fee could be absolutely ludicrous really, but if he does want first team football, maybe Wrexham I think will be a good option for him. And I think certainly with the way that they like to play, I think Owen Beck will have a really pivotal role if he does get this signing confirmed, and he will get a starting, and get given a chance to function at his role. More rumours linked to Demarai Gray. He's been linked to a return move to Birmingham. He's currently playing in the Saudi League at the moment. So typically when I've seen players play for Saudi, there's not been too many occasions where they've been able to have a desire to return back to English football and would prefer to actually play in Saudi. Now, Demarai Gray, I believe, is late 20s, 26, 27. So one of the younger ones to actually join Saudi. And I think certainly Birmingham will be a very positive move, more or less for Birmingham's sake than for him. But I think if he does want to try and get back into English football and certainly not enjoying the conditions of the Saudi League, I think Birmingham will be one of the more attractive Championship clubs he can go to at this moment in time. Southampton have been linked with two players recently. Lucas Cepeda is a really interesting one. So, bit of a Chilean prospect at this moment in time, a forward playing for Colo Colo, and he's actually won a domestic league double with Colo Colo last season, and certainly linked with most competition as well from other European clubs as well. I think it's going to be a very difficult one for Southampton to get this one if he does decide to leave Colo Colo in the end, but the fact that they're even in the conversation does give me lots of excitement. So I hope that Southampton could maybe pull this off. But realistically, I feel like this could be one that maybe just the slightest of rumours. And quite honestly, I could see him maybe being outpriced from a European club, unfortunately, just from having that European competition pedigree. But another player who I think may be a little bit more realistic of a transfer is Damian Downs, an American FC Köln striker. So certainly one that does stand out a little bit. You don't see too many Americans playing in the Bundesliga. I mean, Josh Sargent, I think, is a good example, but of course he's not playing there now. He's now playing for Norwich. But honestly, 10 goals he scored. Not the most amazing goal return, but still to get double digits in goals is a decent amount. And certainly at this moment of time, I think with how little goals Southampton scored last season, that would be an automatic improvement. And I'm definitely seeing Will Steele being a big impact for influencing those players to join. So I think certainly that's going to be one of Southampton's biggest advantage, is to be gaining their pulling power with someone as well experienced as cultured as Will Steele. The final rumour, which I'll talk about today, is going to be linked to Shandon Baptiste. Last season was a frustrating season for him, being hit with so many injuries. He's been linked with a move back up to the Championship. Portsmouth and Oxford are linked with Shandon Baptiste at this moment. Oxford are still yet to sign someone permanently. Portsmouth, as I mentioned at the start, have already made one transfer. I think if any one of them does sign him, it'll be a pretty decent signing for them. I think it'll bring a solid defensive midfield option for both of these clubs. And certainly I think it's an area that both could be looking to try and strengthen. So I think this is not the first time we've seen Portsmouth and Oxford fight for a player. And I think actually with the time that they have done, they both lost out on it. So we'll see if either one of them could get this deal over the line. I could very realistically see Shandon Baptiste returning to the Championship. But whether it's going to be with Portsmouth or Oxford, we're just going to have to wait and see. Alright guys, that wraps it up. Apologies for the change of light. It's now gotten very, very late. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed, please smash the like button. It really does help the growth of this channel. Please do hit the subscribe button too. And please share the channel too. It really does help. We're nearly there at 3,000 subscribers. It'll be absolutely amazing to show you support. It really does not go unnoticed, and I truly appreciate all of you. Thank you guys as always so much for watching. You guys are legendary over this video. And as always, I'll see you guys soon. Take care everyone.